happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. So we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell it's going down by the title. Things are getting crazy in this newest interview that's come out. CNN host Caitlyn tiptoeing, dancing on that fine line of getting tossed off her network after this newest interview with Vance, Trump's running mate VP pick. He's absolutely lighting up yet another host. I don't know when they're going to learn. The lesson that Vance is not to be messed around. Don't fool around with Vance because he is a force, guys. I'm excited to get an interview and see exactly how bad Vance got after Caitlyn from CNN. We're going to get straight into it. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we even get into it, guys, hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button for your boy. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it, you guys.
You're a Yale-educated attorney, and I want to get your take on what we saw happen last week, those immunity arguments before the Supreme Court, where Trump's team, his attorney, argued that a president could order the military to stage a coup and to have their political opponent assassinated and be immune from prosecution unless this theory that they were impeached and then convicted by the Senate. Do you share the view that presidents are basically above the law?
Look, Caitlyn, I think we have to be careful about imputing words into the president's attorneys that they didn't actually say. What the president's attorney said is that what the president's attorney said, Caitlyn, to be clear, is that there is a checks and balances system in our Constitution. Now, some things the president does, private acts, are liable to criminal penalties, but most of the things that the president does in their official duties, we have a system of impeachment, we have a system of checks and balances, the legislative branch that I'm a member of, the judicial branch. I did not read the president's attorneys as saying that the president could order a coup. The president's attorneys are saying that the constitutional checks and balances system would address that problem, and I think that's an important distinction.
But let me stop you right.
She's trying to stop him right there because she knows he's right, guys. She's trying to paint this picture to say that Donald Trump could essentially have, his political opponent taken out if, this absolute immunity ruling is granted in Trump's favor, which we've already seen that happen. They've been trying to paint this picture and say that, he's going to be like a king and some such, but there's checks and balances in place, and that's what Vance is trying to push through Caitlyn Collins' hands. But that's that Trump derangement syndrome, guys. It just doesn't go through their heads. It's just, oh my goodness, you're talking to a wall at this point. Listen to her.
That the president could order a coup. The president's attorneys are saying that the constitutional checks and balances system would address that problem, and I think that's an important distinction.
But let me stop you right there, because I listened to this. It's John Sauer, Trump's attorney, and when he was asked by one of the justices if the president could order the military to stage a coup and would it count as an official act, meaning he couldn't be prosecuted for it, he said it would depend on the circumstances. I mean, what circumstances warrant a president ordering the military to stage a coup?
Well, first of all, he did say it depends on the circumstances, so that opens up a whole lot of avenue for context there. But more importantly, Caitlyn, he's just saying that would count as an official act.
But that's there are a number. That's an official act in your view too.
But could I finish the answer to the question, Caitlyn? An official act, there are a number of checks and balances in our system. There's the impeachment process. There's the budgeting authority that Congress has. There are a number of ways where Congress has a check and balance control over the President of the United States. All he's saying is that the criminal liability procedures that exist in this country don't cover the President's official acts. And by the way, how could anybody disagree with that, Caitlyn? Should Barack Obama be prosecuted for killing an American citizen via a drone strike? There are a number of examples in American history where if you apply the standard, the lawfare standard of the Biden administration against Donald Trump, it would make the presidency impossible to actually execute the law.
Yeah,
so in the name of taking down their political opponent, Caitlyn, these guys are really pushing a legal theory that I think would destroy the presidency, whether a Democrat or Republican was in charge.
Well, I don't think Jack Smith is running for office, but on what you're saying, you're basically saying that if the president orders the military to stage a coup, you believe the only—
Guys, she is stuck on this point. It's getting old at this point. Like, Caitlyn, move past it. This would literally ruin the seat of presidency. The president would have to dance or tiptoe on eggshells in order to do his job. Official acts being able to be prosecuted for him. Like, come on. It's not that hard to get through your head. And she understands it too, or I hope she does. If not, it's that Trump derangement syndrome that's got her head all clouded up. She can't see what's actually going on. She lives in a whole different reality. I mean, like, come on. Like, it's not that hard of a concept to get through your head.
What you're saying, you're basically saying that if the president orders the military to stage a coup, you believe the only remediation for that is that he can be impeached or that Congress can restrict the budget?
Well, Caitlyn, first of all, you're dealing with hypotheticals here that are completely outside the bounds of this particular situation. Donald Trump did not order a coup, despite the fact that a lot of media people say that he did on January the 6th. He encouraged people to protest peacefully. And of course, most people on January 6th did protest peacefully. What I'm saying is that you have to have some measure of liability for the official acts of presidency of the United States. And the way to create a check and balance on that system is what the Constitution prescribes here. You can't have prosecutors, many of whom, of course, are deeply embedded with the Democratic Party, trying to destroy the life of a former president who's now running for president because they think that they have a better argument for what that president should have done. You can have a political disagreement with Donald Trump, and that's totally reasonable. You shouldn't destroy the presidency in the process. And I think that's what a lot of the Biden administration Department of Justice is trying to do.
But you essentially are agreeing that the presidents should not be able to be prosecuted. Let me ask you something else, because as I mentioned, there is an open question of who Donald Trump will pick to be his vice presidential candidate. We just heard him talking about Marco Rubio. You're hosting a fundraiser with him in your home state of Ohio later this month. I know you say that you two haven't discussed the vice presidency directly, but you said you'd certainly be open to it if he did offer it to you. Considering that, does it give you any pause whatsoever about taking that job when you see how he treated his last vice president?
Well, Caitlyn, first of all, again, I haven't talked to Donald Trump about becoming vice president. I think it's important to support President Trump as Republicans because I think he was a good president. And I think that he made the country more prosperous. And I think he made the world more peaceful. What gives me pause, Caitlyn, is another 4 years of Biden's administration where he's opened the borders and where you have effectively a conflict, a major world conflict in nearly every continent in the world.
But my question was not about President Biden.
This right here is that's what got JD Vance. This is before JD Vance got selected as Donald Trump's running mate. Right here, the vouching in the absence of Donald Trump right here. He's just such a solid guy, man. He's, truly for the American people. And, he can see that even if Donald Trump wasn't as close with Mike Pence, the traitor, Donald Trump's, his policy, his administration still worked towards the betterment of America, versus Joe Biden. He's like, what I do have a pause at is this guy, Joe Biden. Now, like, come on, let's see what he's done, a train wreck of administration he's led.
Conflict, a major world conflict in nearly every continent in the world.
But my question was not about President Biden. It's about President Trump.
Well, look, it's fundamentally about President Biden because if you're comparing the two records of these presidents and asking, who do I want to be president? It's very clearly that I want Donald Trump to be president. And I understand that there are a lot of things that people like you disagree that he did, but I think fundamentally he was a good president. He accomplished a lot for the country. And the question fundamentally for our country is, do we want 4 more years of Joe Biden or do we want 4 more years of the peace and prosperity of Donald Trump? That to me is an easy question.
The last time I checked, President Biden wasn't approving of the chance to hang his vice president and did not call his vice president when their life was in danger on Capitol Hill, something that Mike Pence himself has testified to. So my question is, does it give you any pause to be his vice president, given how he has treated Mike Pence?
Caitlyn, I'm extremely skeptical that Mike Pence's life was ever in danger. I think politics people like to really exaggerate things from time to time.
I know a lot of folks in the Democratic Party, Senator.
A lot of folks in the Democratic Party, Caitlyn, act as if January the 6th was the scariest moment of their lives. I think, look, January 6th was a bad day. It was a riot. But the idea that Donald Trump endangered anyone's lives when he told them to protest peacefully, it's just absurd. And the entire
There we go. Bring her back to reality, JD Vance. Come on, bro. Bring her back, because she's completely lost, wandering some false, I don't know, just far out there, different world. Because come on, look at her. Look at her face when she's seeing. She's like, oh my, I can't believe he's telling the truth here on CNN. Yes, he's telling the truth, going against you guys' agenda.
Look, January 6th was a bad day. It was a riot. But the idea that Donald Trump endangered anyone's lives when he told them to protest peacefully, it's just absurd. And the entire legal basis of this prosecution of Donald Trump
but they
from
were
Jack
chanting
Smith,
that they wanted to hang him.
Look, Caitlyn, did a few people say some bad things? Sure, but do we blame Donald Trump for every bad thing that's ever been said by a participant in American democracy? I think that's an absurd standard. And look, Caitlyn, I know you're worried, and I think justifiably so, about
This isn't about me,
threats
Senator.
to
I'm
American.
asking questions about you and how you would feel about this.
I'm trying to answer the question.
Oh wow, she's getting upset, guys. Did she just slam her desk? She's like, "This isn't about me." I'm asking. Well, it seems like it's about you at this point, Caitlyn, because you're the only one that's really worried or concerned about, the safety as being the running mate VP pick of Donald Trump. And as clearly we can see in the future, now we're sitting in the future that he is in that seat as VP, guys. I mean, it just, coming full circle, we see that he was not scared. It's all on Caitlyn. That's who's actually trying to push his narrative to say that it's so scary to be. Come on, like what? I'm so glad JD Vance is here to clear this all up, saying that this was just the scariest day of American history. Like, cut it out, guys. Stop pushing this agenda.
And look, Caitlyn, I know you're worried, and I think justifiably so. About
this isn't about me, Senator. I'm asking questions about you and how you would feel about this.
I'm trying to answer the question. I appreciate if you let me. We know that there are threats to American democracy. I think the biggest threat to American democracy, Caitlyn, is that the Biden administration is trying to prevent Donald Trump from campaigning and taking his case to the American people, even as they hide their own candidate.
That's presiding over that case. The Biden administration is not preventing Donald Trump from campaigning. He just did two campaign events tonight.
They'll never admit the linking of the two, guys, but we can clearly see these cases are so transparent. They're linked together, guys. All these cases are linked together, chain mailed together, and then we've got it all the way up to the top, to the big guy. Past him, honestly.
Biden administration is not preventing Donald Trump from campaigning. He just did two campaign events tonight.
This is a really important point, Caitlyn. Who is the number 3 person from the Biden Department of Justice who went to work for the New York prosecutor just months before he brought this case against Donald Trump? You can't have people moving from the Biden administration to prosecute Donald Trump in New York and say it has nothing to do with the Biden administration, especially when the judge is the Biden administration donor.
To local DA's offices all the time. That's not that unusual. I mean, you're an attorney, you know that.
We've never seen anyone that close to the Biden admin. We said number 3 spot. Michael Cole, he was at the top, guys, the top of the top, to come down to the bottom of the bottom. No, you don't get demoted that far when you get demoted. No, you would have just been fired. You'd have been out. No way possible. They're still trying to paint this. That's the Trump derangement, or just that narrative they're trying to push to say that it just no connection between these cases. We can see the charade cases are all linked together by just the timing of them all. They were all rushed. And that's why they didn't work.
This all the time. That's not that unusual. I mean, you're an attorney, you know that.
It's pretty unusual.
You probably have colleagues who went to Yale with you that did that.
It's pretty unusual for the number 3 person in the Department of Justice to then go to the New York prosecutor's office to bring a bogus case against Donald Trump, and then to have the judge presiding over that case to be a donor to Biden-Harris. I think that's pretty unusual, Caitlyn, and really is, aside from your views or anyone else's views about Donald Trump, this is a real threat to Americans' trust in the legal system. If you look at polling, even a lot of folks who are going to vote for Joe Biden think that the lawfare against Donald Trump is bogus. We're destroying faith in the American system of law and order to try to bring down Joe Biden's political opponent. That's a threat to democracy.
It's a jury of his peers that indicted him, and a jury of his peers that are in that room right now and will decide this case. Senator J.D. Vance, thank you for joining us here on The Source.
Thanks for having me.
Yo, there we have it. JD Vance absolutely wiping the floor with CNN's Caitlyn Collins. Oh my goodness. He had an answer for every single question she threw at him. I mean, like, come on. When are these journalists, these reporters going to figure out that JD Vance is not the guy you want to mess around with? He's going to have an answer. And even if you try to cut him off, talk over him, he's still going to put the truth out there no matter what your network's agenda is. They want you to gaslight, lie, and, feed these people all this baloney, guys. No, JD Vance is going to keep going. He's going to hammer and drive the point home every single time. JD Vance is going to speak and say exactly what the people want to hear, the truth. We don't want to hear all this, fabricated, dressed up, media lies. The lamestream media loves to do that. JD Vance here goes directly against the grain, and oh my goodness, it felt so sweet. Guys, definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. CNN's Caitlyn Collins may not have a spot on the network for too long after this one, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. And also make sure you guys hit that share button. Share this out to as many Facebook friends as possible. Also make sure you guys hit that like, that subscribe button if you enjoy more videos like this. I'll catch you guys in the next week.